Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So Sall Grover, who is involved in the Giggle versus Tickle case, has been fighting this case for years now over in Australia. She has given an update about when we are to expect a ruling or a judgment. Are the courts going to decide that gender identity will continue to have precedence over biological sex? Are the courts in Australia going to determine that the definition of a woman includes a man? Is that what they're going to run with? Well, we'll find out. So Sal has given some more insight into when we are to expect this judgment. When the case began a few months ago, I thought the judgment was going to be, that day or a couple of days after. But when I looked it up, it said that the wait can be up to 6 months. I was absolutely flabbergasted to see that we're going to be waiting up to 6 months for the courts to decide something so basic, for the courts to accept that everybody has rights in Australia based on biological sex, and that is enough.
The Sex Discrimination Act in Australia was a piece of legislation enacted in 1984 that enshrined in law women's rights to have women-only spaces for the various reasons we need them, whether it is for the everyday need. You could even add breastfeeding spaces into that as well, or for what one might say more frivolous, but I would argue equally as important, say like gyms, and now we're going to the digital age, so that's where it's moving to.
We don't now need to start saying that, gender identity trumps biological sex to the extent that a man basically has more rights than a woman, because if he has a gender identity, that woman, as of now, doesn't have the right to say no in the eyes of the law.
Women-only spaces were something that was not a controversial concept for quite a long time. It was a right we'd already fought for.
Women-only spaces, women-only apps, bathrooms, locker rooms, even saunas and places like that, where women are in a state of undress. A man can identify himself into those spaces. And it's discrimination as of now in Australia to say that, no, you cannot enter this space because you are a man. According to the law, in Australia, the first judgment that took place where the judge had the nerve to say that sex is changeable. Yes, that's right. Based on that, rights pertaining to women, meaning females, have essentially been made null and void.
The transgender woman claimed she was legally entitled to use services meant for women, so she was discriminated against based on her gender identity.
But a small group of people have taken it upon themselves to declare that I am not who I know I am, and they've set about making my life miserable.
It's very, very concerning. It's very disturbing. This is such an important judgment, which will essentially determine whether women have their rights back, since they were taken away in 2013 by the female Prime Minister, who decided that gender identity was going to be included and essentially erase women from legislation. So let's see what Sal had to say regarding the conclusion of this case that has gone on for a long time and has cost a lot of money, to the tune of over $1 million. So Sal posted this recently. She said, I've been struggling to talk about gender ideology lately because all I can think about is the Giggle versus Tickle decision. The days are weird when you're waiting for 3 judges to decide whether woman is a category that doesn't include men and if you can have your life back. Like, what else is there left to say? They're not women. Ta-da! If I couldn't find some kind of humor in it, I'd be full of rage that I created something for women, but have spent years dealing with men who claim to be women. But alas, 90% of my energy has been invested in finding something to laugh about and focusing on the future. But honestly, I can't believe it has taken this long and so much longer for other people, and so much effort and expense to establish that women are something that men cannot just identify as. It's the most basic, simple thing. I've always said that I reject the premise of this case but respect the process. Yet I have to admit that I do have animosity towards the legal, political, and institutional system that allows this to happen at all. It's a process that changes you forever. Like, I think, even if you're against me, you have to admit there is legislation that isn't working and it shouldn't be left up to a private citizen to fix it. Legislators should have fixed the conflict in law. That's their job, not mine. As I approach the end of this phase, hopefully there is a decision before December 19. I'm reflecting on things that have happened in the past 4 years. Like that for 3 of the 4 years, the person who took me to court would frequently screenshot my posts from behind the block and mock me. I don't care that I was mocked so much, but I care that I was being watched. I had no idea when he was watching me, but the posts were sent to me whenever they occurred. While it was genuinely scary, it also proved why women would want a woman-only digital platform. And I never had any institution to go to for help. The Sex Discrimination Commission at the Australian Human Rights Commission is so against women that they'll give pregnancy protections to men before they acknowledge that women are relevant. That is genuinely terrifying. I have no idea how this case will turn out, only how I think it should. But I do know that no matter what happens next, the extent of ideological capture will be exposed. That is very important and relevant in many sectors. In the meantime, as always, thank you so much to everyone for the amazing support. There is absolutely no way I could do this by myself, both emotionally and financially. I still have $300,000 plus in legal fees to pay for this round. When I was growing up, my dad would always tell me that sometimes you have to take 1 step back to take 2 steps forward. This whole process is a big test of that for me. Okay, that's my woe is me vent over. And if you want to support Sall, you can still do so at gigglecrowdfund.com. I will leave the link in the pinned comment below. So we're waiting for a decision before December 19. They waited up to the last possible moment to make this decision. They could have done it a lot sooner, but they have utilized this entire time to do whatever they're doing to decide whether a man can be a woman. It's very simple. And in the meantime, Sall is saying that, the male who wants to get onto her app, the male in question who took her to court, is screenshotting her posts on X. I don't understand why when you block someone, they can still see your posts. I never understood that. That was something that was introduced, not too long ago. So you block somebody, but they can still see everything you post. They can screenshot it. Unless someone tells you, you don't know whether they've screenshotted your post and are commenting on it or whatever. But they can see everything. So that's rather unsettling. The more this person does this, the more he's revealing exactly why women need their own digital spaces too.
Good men, it doesn't even occur to them to go into a woman-only space. In fact, I would argue the moment you're dealing with a man trying to force his way into one, you're not dealing with a good man. You're actually dealing with the reason why women-only spaces are so important.
He can't see that he's actually making a great case for women-only digital apps, mocking her for stating fact that you are not a woman, you will never be a woman. Wearing a low-cut top doesn't make you a woman, which is something they alluded to in court. It was absolutely ridiculous. But no matter how you look, you will never be a woman. You are male biologically, and you can't change your sex. I don't care what clownfish do. Human beings cannot change their sex, and to imply otherwise is actually dehumanizing. Let's accept what we can do as a species and not deny that. Let's not deny biology. And the best place to acknowledge biology is the courts. The courts need to acknowledge fact. Real women, females, shouldn't have to accept any man as being a woman simply because of identity. That takes away from our safety. That takes away from fair and safe sports. That takes away from our privacy. All of which we have a right to as women. In Australia, women have a right to privacy. Women have a right to safety, to their own sports. And those are rights that are based on sex. So I'm hoping for a good decision. Sal deserves it. Women in Australia deserve it. It's about time that Australia understands what a woman is once and for all. That the courts understand what a woman is. And stop this foolishness, end this madness once and for all. Men who identify as women, Roxanne, all those people, they can go on and live their lives. But in everyday functioning society, we do get excluded from things on the basis of sex, on the basis of age.
But we do discriminate constantly. And if you actually want to create spaces or services to cater to a specific group, you're by definition going to have to discriminate against other people. Like if you want to do something, say, just for children, well, adults aren't included. I mean, that's probably just the most basic example that you could give.
And when something comes up that could be classed as bigotry, there are recourses in the law to address those forms of discrimination. But what they should never have done is include gender identity, because that's not a real thing. You can't identify yourself into being the opposite sex. So gender identity should never have been added to the Sex Discrimination Act. And I hope the courts have enough sense to see that. And when it comes to gender identity, they're going to have to look into that, because unfortunately it is taking precedence over biological sex. They're going to have to look into that. It shouldn't be up to us, women spending millions of dollars to force the courts to address this. This is something that they should have been aware of. We say that you can identify yourself into the opposite sex. That's literally giving more rights to men who claim to be women over actual females, over the real women who simply want their privacy, who simply want to be left alone. So I wish Sal all the best, and let's keep supporting her. Let's keep putting the word out there. These legal fees, I can't even imagine having that stress upon you. Thankfully, so many women and men, have come forward to support Sal. It's great to see the support that she has received over the years. But unfortunately, it's still ongoing. So Coralie Smith had this to say. She herself is also had to face all these legal battles as well. She's facing a judgment of up to 200,000 Australian dollars to pay men who were offended that she referred to them as men while defending women.
In Australia, we get called names, but we also get taken to court, because not only has the word woman been redefined to include men, that is, bodies that have a penis and XY chromosomes, we've also redefined words like violence and vilification. I know firsthand, because I'm under a 2-year apprehension of violence order for identifying a male in female sport. I've also been found guilty of unlawful vilification for misgendering 2 men who are playing in female soccer teams. When I say identifying males in female sports, what I mean is that I took information from the public domain, posted by Football New South Wales, posted by a local football club. I didn't dox, I didn't go searching out extra information. I simply took what was already there on their own websites and asked the very simple questions. Why are men playing in female sports? And what is the point of having male and female divisions if men are going to be allowed in them?
It is mind-boggling that women like Sal and I have to endure the insane battles in court over laws that deny reality. The cost is outrageous, but we have no choice but to stand for the reality of sex-based needs and rights. And Tish said, this is why laws need to be repealed. I completely agree. But the law can work here without it being repealed. It's the Sex Discrimination Commissioner's interpretation of the law that is causing the most problems. If it was up to me, there would be absolutely no gender ideology in law, beyond being a protected belief like religion. Like, believe in it if you want, don't force anyone else to. But any law that replaces female reality with male fantasy needs to be repealed and sent to the dustbin of history ASAP. Thank you for all the work you were doing. They've allowed men to weaponize the courts against women just to punish us for not accepting them as women, for acknowledging biological fact and biological reality. Women are being punished severely. That needs to come to an end. Like she said, this is to get her life back. The app is on pause at the moment, has been on pause ever since a man tried to get onto it. I'm sure she would rather be interacting with other women, seeing the app grow, seeing the app a success, spending time with her daughter, getting on with her life, and not spending her time trying to convince people that a man cannot be a woman. There are so many other things I'm sure she would rather be doing. But she's doing this regardless because this is to ensure that every woman, including our daughters, our nieces, granddaughters, in the future, can have their rights back too. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.